degrees, certificates, and everything, and throw it on us without anybody checking and saying, oh, well, this is this. We're looking for people of integrity. We're looking for people of honesty. And being a good public speaker, having lots of qualification is not a measure of integrity, because the man can have all the degrees in the world and it's still a thief. So these are things we need to interrogate and say, Mr. Peter Obi, who wants to be governor, can we ask question, where is it coming from? If he says, like I will say, I'm a trader, where is he trading? Who are his customers? Who are those who have dealt with him? So we'll be able to ascertain whether if we entrust this person public money, that we will be able to do this. And then if we vote the person in, and we find out after 4 years, like it's happened in America, that he's not doing the right thing, we'll quickly ensure that in the next election cycle, that is voted out. If we start this gradually, we might start changing the situation.
Well, you know, Excellency, the problem is that in America, in Europe, in places like that, people are enlightened. They know good from bad. They know right from wrong. In Nigeria, 80% of the voting populace don't know left from right, and they don't even know how to discern what is good from what is bad. And they're not even able to question. Even today, if you write anything or question the government in power, people begin to threaten you and accuse you of wanting to topple the government or disloyalty and all that. So people are cowed into some kind of silence. And you don't have the people with that knowledge, averagely, who can come and say something. And even sometimes you say something against somebody that this and that, the person takes it personally. It starts to look for you, hunt you down, send hired assassins after you, blah, 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 this and that. So I think these are parts of the problems facing Nigeria. And if you go to the party, it is the godfathers of the party or the babas that be or the baba sales of the party that will decide who runs for office. And most of the time, they just put in their assistants, their lieutenants, their hired men, and all sorts of things, and say, it's your own turn, go and run. How do we now create an environment in Nigeria where the average Nigerian can interrogate the system or put in place policies and structures that will guide the parties in even bringing up candidates in the first place? Now, if you have a school cert, you can aspire to be governor or president of Nigeria in this day and age. School cert, that's okay. You can aspire and become governor or president of Nigeria. I'm not sure that can work in today's era of artificial intelligence and that level of knowledge and exposure. What do you think? I'm looking for practical solutions that we can take away from
you mentioned a lot about the issue of the populace and all that. Let me tell you, I agree with you and I disagree with you.
All right.
The biggest problem of Nigeria is the elites.
The elites.
The elites is the problem of Nigeria, because if you go, somebody would have operated and live in the village to date. If you go, those people you think that are poor, downtrodden and everything, actually more honest in terms of integrity and better than the elites. What you have in Nigeria, they have those who think that are supposed to know, those who are supposed to even be rich and comfortable, but are not content with their life, that are looking for more. That are actually the problem. They are the ones that are creating all this problem. The elites are the ones living off the confusion and the failure, not the poor ones, not the small ones. I have been part of this. So what we need to do is that you're talking about parties not being able controlled by godfathers and everything. The reason why it's controlled by godfathers is that people like you, Pastor, that mean well, are not the party members. So what you have is that we have a situation which I say every day, where lunatics.
Please mute your mics if you are not speaking, please. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
We have a situation where, like I always say every day, where lunatics took over the asylum, and those who are supposed to manage them are actually outside, not doing anything, and of course, giving you an excuse. Yes, Pastor, every day I speak or you speak and everything, people are going to question you, people are going to threaten you. But the question you ask yourself, am I saying or talking the right thing? Is it better for me to be sinfully silent and allow things to go wrong, or to speak against what is wrong? That is the question. If the question is about speaking about what is wrong, every other country in the world where they change, people did the same thing. And we owe it to this country, we owe it to our children, to the future, to say this is wrong. So if the elites are committed that things will go all right, it will. It is not the poor people that change has never come in any nation by the populace. It is just a handful of people who mean well. The reason why it's going wrong today is that 90% of the operators, as it is today in our governance space, should not be there. So you have people who are incompetent, people who don't have capacity, people who ordinarily should not be part of that. They are there in charge, so everything they do revolves around transaction, nothing else. So you come out in the burning, look at our country, the way this has gone. Nobody can tell you today, this is how much we're owing. This is what we use the borrowed money to do. This is how it's going to impact on our economy and everything. And you look at countries and everything growing in the right direction, and ours is facing south.
Okay, so how do we change the thinking of the elite? How do we mobilize them? How do we improve their attitudes towards governance?
I said it's when people like you, there's so many people like you who are feeling bad, they should get involved. All of us have to get involved. When I found out that things were not working well in my state, I decided to get involved. I saw schools in the year 2001, schools were closed for one full year in Anambra State. Nobody was going to school. The primary schools and the secondary schools were shut down. Even up to 2002, the primary schools and secondary schools were closed. Nobody was going to school because the government then could not pay salaries or invest in education. But you could see the difference. Within 10 years, we became #1. So it's a question of let those who feel that this cannot continue in this direction, it is time for all of us to get involved. The country as it is today, Pastor, is collapsing. And everybody knows. Forget about what anybody is telling you today. We are more insecure today than we were yesterday. Our debts are worse. Unemployment is worse. We've now moved to, we're now unemployment, and unemployment in Nigeria today is over 50%. So you have over 50, you probably have about over 40, 50 million people. Our poverty, of course, you know it very well that we become the poverty capital of the world. In a situation where Nigeria, with a population of 200 million, we have more people living under poverty than China and India together. Both of them together is 2.8 billion, and we have more people living under poverty. Last year alone, we overtook India as the place with the highest under 5 mortality. We became the highest in drug prevalence with an average of 14.8 when it is under 5% in most countries. It can go on and on. Things become worse. And if we just follow the last World Bank report, we're going to have 11 million people thrown into poverty just last year because of COVID. So if you add it to the existing 86, 110 million. So it is time for all of us to come out and say, we must change this situation. And it's not rocket science. We need to get people who are committed to what is happening. I've had experience of all this. When it's happening, people think, oh, this thing is something you have to go to the moon or anywhere. It's happened in countries after countries where people were able to change their course.
Okay, so your first advice or admonition is that everybody should get involved in one way or the other, join a political party, be part of their leadership, offer yourself for office and support and all that, and be more active politically in choosing leaders. Let me also ask you another question. How do we set the agenda towards 2023 to make sure that the right leader emerges in Nigeria? And on the back of that, do you think that this two-party system is working, or do we need a third or fourth party to give us a balance? How do we, if you had the magic wand, if you were Jesus Christ, or if you had the keys to Nigeria in your hands, how would you set an agenda from now to ensure that come 2023, what are the things you would do to ensure that we get the right kind of leader?
Well, so first is that we don't have two-party system. We actually have a multi-party system. The number of parties that are registered in Nigeria is about over 50. So it's just that the two is where you can say you are part of the elite. So we have more than 2 parties in Nigeria. And the other parties that are there and are functional. And quite frankly, Nigerians that are not members of parties today are higher in the voting population, are higher than the number of Nigerians that are already within the party system. And if you look at the number of Nigerians that are poor today, over 100 million, compared with number of people that are registered voters or have voted, you find out that there are more. So if those people, just like if you look at the youth, today we have unemployment, like I said before, of unemployment above 50%, which are mainly youths in their productive age. So if 30 million youths in their productive age, I don't know where the next bill is going to come from, decide today to change this course, they will do so. So it's a question of, it is not, there's no agenda, there's nothing new. It's to say, this thing is not working. And it's very easy. I can compare countries after countries that I've seen where things are working for you to see what we're, and when I do this, I'm not talking about countries that are big and that are small, because people will always look at using maybe a Singapore, 5 million, or even comparing us with America or Japan. These are countries that you can no longer compare us with, because if Nigeria with a per capita of $2,000, about $2,000, and you're comparing us with America at $48,000, you'll find out that there's no way, there's no comparison. But in 2008, as a governor, Pastor, I visited Bangladesh. As a governor, people wrote me from America and said, we want Anambra State and this state in America to be sister states. And I'll reply them back. People will bring it and say, please, don't go there because we can't be sister states. These people have a per capita of $50,000 and our own is below 2,000. So how can we be, it's like saying somebody to go and you have 1 million naira and your friend is somebody who have maybe 2,000 naira. Two of you cannot be in the same place. So I said, let me go to Asia, place we have similarity. So I visited Bangladesh. In fact, I went there with a foreign minister, a Professor Biora, and we spent like about 4 or 5 days. When I went to Bangladesh in 2008, Bangladesh per capita was $635. Today, they are 1,000, their per capita is $1,860. That means it's done 3 times what it was in 2008. At that time, Nigerian per capita is $2,240 in 2008. Today, Nigerian per capita is 2019. I'm using 2019. In 2019, Nigerian per capita is 2,230. So we've actually moved from 240 in 2008 to 2,230 in 2019. This will have moved from $635 to $1,860. Bangladesh have moved today. If you go to the HDI, which is the most critical measure of development, Human Development Index, they moved from low to medium. Within this time, I'm telling you, Nigeria is actually worsening. So what we need to do, all of us, is to say, well, listen, we can't continue traveling on this road where we are. We can't continue to a destination we know that is going to hurt all of us. We have to say no to it, all of us collectively.
Excellent. Let me ask you a few questions. One is this issue of headsmen that we're tackling in Nigeria right now. What, in your own perspective, is the problem? And just yesterday, the governor of Ondo was insisting that herdsmen can't graze in forest reserves without permission, blah, blah, blah. Why are we having herdsmen issue in Nigeria in 2021? And then I'll ask you another question, and then I'll throw the floor open to people who have questions to answer. But you still haven't quite answered my question as to what do we need to do to ensure that in 2023, we have the right leader for Nigeria. So maybe you can take those 3 questions.
All of us should get involved in 2023.
That's all.
All of us should be involved. More and more people should get involved, because if you're involved, I'm involved, everybody is there saying we can't continue with this present leadership. The same thing goes with what you are talking about, herdsmen, anything. I said, what you're seeing is cumulative effect of leadership failure. So when you have a leadership failure, issues cannot be properly addressed. Where else are you having herdsmen problem in any other developing country that you know. I just talked about Bangladesh. I can go on and other countries. Don't they eat meat or don't they have cows in their place? So this is a very simple thing. It's not a rocket science. Because they've been able, they have leadership, they've been able to address issues the way they are. So you have to continue having the problems until you have the right leaders and then you have the right citizens who are ready to resist and say no to what is happening. I mentioned to you before that people used to cite America institutions. You could see from what happened in America recently that it is human beings, it is the citizens that resist and say, no, we can't continue this way. This is
Excellent.
not us.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this issue of restructuring? People are asking and making a lot of comments that Nigeria should restructure, we should go back to the regions, we should do this, we should do that. It's not a United States of Nigeria, or it's not what they call federalism, blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on restructuring and how do you think the argument really should be? And is it, how will restructuring benefit Nigeria?
If you have a system that is not working, very simple, you try another system. What we have today is not working. And we know it's not working. But again, like I also said, if you follow even, yes, the constitution we have today is not a constitution made by Nigerian people. It's a constitution that is then, call it, entrusted on us. But even in that constitution, if you follow strictly the issue of true federalism, you have actually done a lot of work on restructuring. Is that what we're talking about is, let's take issue of security. There's no reason why in Edo State should not have their own security system. There's no reason why in Anambra State, when I was governor in Anambra State, I insisted we must have community vigilante service. If you go to every community in Anambra State, we formed community vigilante service that is across every state in Anambra State. In fact, and to tell you how it is developed, I bought vehicle. Every state in every community in Anambra State, over 200 communities, including markets and everything, I bought pickup for them. I said, you must have your own security. We even connected it at a telephone. When we talk about security in Anambra State today, that was the foundation. So there's no reason why local governments should not have their own security system. There's no reason why we cannot have the same thing in the state and in the nation. These things are not things we should be debating about. Whether it should happen or it should not happen, they can work with the federal police. We're not saying there's no federal police, but let's have state police. People's fear is that the governor will use it against this, against that. The governor have only 8 years, he will go. Some other people will come, some other person will come, use the same police he used against people, against him. By the time they do it, then you find out how these things will stop. Somewhere along the line, we need to properly do things the way it's done in every other part of the world. And if you do restructuring and you have federalism, you create competition. All this idea of what the country needs now is wealth creators, not wealth sharers. We can't continue every month talking about going to get money and share. It's too lazy. The country is too lazy. There's no thinking, there's no so you have a country that's not productive because of this sharing process.
Let me ask you one more question. then I will throw the open. So if you have any questions, please send them through to the forum, or if you rather, you raise your hands up electronically, and then I ask you to ask your questions. Or please keep the questions short, straight to the answer. Or if you have a comment, keep the comment short and straight to the answer also. Excellency, the Igbo people, because we had a guest speaker here the other day who said that 52 years after the war, there's been no real reconstruction, there's been no reparations as such, and so on and so forth. But my own thinking, or what I wanted to ask is, the Igbos are very resourceful, they're very competent, they've done so well in business, and there's a lot of this. How is it that they don't appear quite united? And also, they're not seeming able to use their resource to even develop infrastructure where they're coming from. Okay, I go to Igbo land from time to time. You are my in-laws. I see fantastic houses in all sorts of villages, but the infrastructure to get to that house is in dilapidable condition, erosion everywhere, and this and that, and so on and so forth. And then also a seeming, let me use the word seeming, marginalization of those, that group of people that, you can't even bother to aspire to presidency, blah, 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 don't even think of it, and blah, blah, blah. What is going on, and what are people doing about it, and what is the thinking? And any of those questions you don't want to answer, you can dodge, I don't mind. But I just felt I needed to ask you this question. It's been on my mind.
Well, issue of Igbos being united, first what I will ask is, which other sector is united? Whereas our disunity is the same thing as it is, whether you talk about Southwest or North Central, anything, as is a kind of level where they gave us. If today you say you are looking for Igbo president, somebody from Southeast, say the party is zoned to Southeast for people to contest, of course you might have 20 people who are aspiring. There's nothing wrong in that. When PDP decided people will come from the North, there's a lot of people who contested. If we say it's going to come from Southwest, there will be a lot of people contesting. All we need to do is to ensure that of all that pack, let's go for the best. Let the choice not be based on sentiment. Let it not be based on transaction. Let it not be based on the same sharing. So if there's 20 people who are contesting from Southeast, let it be. And there's nothing wrong in that. Or using their resources, their hard-earned money and everything to develop infrastructure. Yes and no. And like I said, I have served as the governor. And I know that as the governor, when I was in office, Anambra was rated as the state with the best road network. What we need to do in this country is to see people use public money for public good. So before I'm going to ask people to use their personal money to start developing infrastructure, what have I, as the governor, used the money of the state to do? Let me tell you, when I said I was going to do, if anybody builds an industry, I will do a road to his industry. I saw people who were committed in partnering with me. Innocent did it. Chikasin Industries did it. And I can go on and on. Kutix, where we said an industrial estate in Onitsha was the same thing. They came to me and said, Governor, if you are going to put this amount of money, we're going to put this. Yes, some of them are overruled and said, no, don't put any money. Use your money in setting up the industry. I'm going to use public money to ensure that I build the roads here. I put infrastructures that you need. That's what government is there for. So there's so many things we can do. For me in particular, I want to see proper utilization of public money. I want to see creation of wealth. People who mean well, people who are investing in the problem, not going to Abuja to get money, share it and say, okay, we're doing this. I want to see wealth creation.
Okay, Excellency, I'll take a few questions. Afam Efuna Okeke has a question. Afam Okeke, please unmute yourself and let's hear your question.
Yeah, good evening, Pastor. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah, Your Excellency, I'm Okeke from Efuna, from your state, Anambra State. What do you have to say about the physiological need as it affects the voting masses, the masses that can vote? Don't you think it equally has a role to play? I'm very much aware that in our state, this issue of vote buying is on the high side. I'm from Ekusugo local government. I aspired to be a House of Assembly member. But because I cannot buy the votes, I don't have the resources. And majority of the youth don't have the resources to buy these votes. Don't you think the physiological need of the masses has a role it plays in politicking?
Yeah, you see, you actually answered. Even all those youths said nobody will buy vote, nobody will buy votes. I come from a community, in my community, I come from a community, I'm from Aguru. You can't buy votes in Aguru. If you give them money, they'll still vote another place where they want to vote. So what they need to do is that's what I've been saying here, that if the people insist that, listen, we cannot, our votes are not for sale, because what these people will do will affect us one way or the other. You know, so that's the problem. So you need to insist that, listen, we cannot go on this way, because those who are paying for that vote are the ones that are ruining their life.
Yeah, we understand that fact. But some of the villagers, for an example, let me give you an example. Engineer Patrick Nkyobi is from my local government. We
I'm not
actually
hearing you
tried.
very well.
Hello, sir. I said Engineer Patrick Obi is from Ekusugo local government. We're of the same party and everything. The last election, we tried so hard not to resist vote buying. But the other counterparts kept on buying votes, and which led to a problem, a chaos. Even the security men.
It is not you're resisting it. It is those people that are being paid the money needs to resist it, because those who are paying them are ruining their life. So it's not a question of me, Peter, we're going to fight people from taking money. It is a question of me saying, wait a minute, this Peter Obi who is giving us money is not competent, doesn't have the capacity, and we must resist. He will not be there.
Okay. How do we get this information down to the grassroots?
It's very simple.
How do we reorient them? Because it entails cognitive restructuring.
It is me and you that needs to do that.
I want to go to another page. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Let's move on to one Ejekeme, one Ejekeme has a question.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and good evening, Your Excellency.
Good
Joining
evening.
in from London.
Good evening.
Hi. Thank you, sir. Sir, if your party or yourself, by the grace of God, wins the election in 2023, what would you do, or what would be your advice to whoever is the president on one, reduction of governance, cost of governance, the federal cost of governance? Then two, how would you strengthen the public institutions? And then finally, how would you deal with corruption, which is a nightmare to every Nigerian? Thank you.
Thank you, Wenne. You have three questions. You know my son because you know me very well and I've worked with you. You know, for me, when you talk about cost of governance, I've always insisted that cost of governance in Nigeria is criminally high and unacceptable. It is cheaper today, as you know, it is cheaper. I'm sure the cost of keeping a local government chairman in Nigeria is more expensive than the cost of probably keeping somebody from the UK Parliament. It is cheaper today to keep the British Prime Minister. Of course, the cost of his office than probably our governors. It's something I've operated, and I know that it is too high, it's unacceptable. So it is the leader who can look at this and say, we can't go on like this. When we are looking for resources to invest in the most critical areas like education, we cannot go on with this level of waste. On issue of corruption, same thing. When people talk about corruption, my answer is simple. If the leader is not corrupt and is not out of the stealing, you've reduced it by at least 70%. I have been a governor. And for the 8 years that I was in office, yes, there might be leakage here and there, but I can tell you it was reduced by 70%. Otherwise, there's no way I would have left office with over 75 billion in the bank. It is the same thing. You can say no. If you are not stealing, you reduce it by 70%. Because who are those who are going to steal? You are the governor. You approve all the expenditure. You know what is happening and everything. So if you're not the one who is doing it, there's no way. On issue of strengthening public institutions, I said it. It is people. When we talk about public institutions and everything, it is the people that will help in resisting it. When I was leaving office, I keep telling the people, anybody that comes after me, if he's not doing A, B, C, D, F, you can question it. It is the people that will say, no, this is not us. It is even the elected people, everything. I was telling somebody a story of what happened in the American Congress, and I said, look at how people resisted evasion. Look at how even the members came back to continue what they're doing instead of going indefinitely, saying that we have suspended or we have sitting has been suspended indefinitely or this. They came back and continued with what they're. But it is the people. Building an institution is not just, it is everybody's job. But you need to have the right leader who have shown commitment. So if, for example, in 2023, we have a president that is committed that has the love and is competent of this country, he can determine it's not going to be easy, it's going to be tough. But if he's determined, he will get through. At least we'll start rebuilding.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obinna. We need to get another question now from Femi Idowu Adegoke. Femi Idowu Adegoke. Thank you. Unmute yourself, Femi. Can't hear you. We can't hear you, Femi. There's something wrong with your connection.
Good evening, everyone.
Huh? Who is the other person? Is there any other person with another question? Obinna Ayim. Obinna Ayim. Obinna Ayim.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Obinna, unmute yourself. Okay, Femi, can we hear you now? Femi Adegoke. Obinna
We can't
Ayim.
hear him. We can't hear Femi. We can't hear
Can't
Femi.
hear him. Okay, Obinna, unmute yourself.
Hello?
Unmute yourself, Obinna. He's raising his hand. He's not unmuted.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Femi, yes? Femi, I can't hear you. Obinna, yes, speak if you have unmuted yourself. You have a question? Oh my goodness. Is there anybody else who has a question at this point in time? Mr. Sheikh Ladipo, make it very brief, please. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Very, very brief, please.
Thank you, Pastor Etwa. I wanted to ask His Excellency what his thinking is regarding efforts to reshape the PDP. And I mean that. Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Sheikh. Everybody else, please mute your mics, please.
I mean that within the context of, well, we understand that there are two major parties. You know, there are a lot of problems in the country. But if we can have one of the two major parties committed to bringing about change, we may get somewhere. And if one looks at the profile of a party like the PDP, we are not politicians, but we can look at people like His Excellency Peter Obi, whose records are transparent. I think PDP has people who may be amenable to change. But, you know, as the pastor has said, there are obviously some godfathers again in the background. And no matter how good the technocrats are, if the godfathers are not in on the change, you wouldn't have it. But of course, His Excellency has suggested that people like pastors should go and join and go and be the Baba Sales inside the party. So, but I wanted just for him to give us a reaction. I recently heard that they had a youth rally, which was a step in the right direction in some way. But does he see the party as being able to change its clothing, its coat, and become a party of change? Can we get a critical mass, people like him? There are several now who are in the horizon. Some are serving governors, some are past governors. But people like Peter Obi, His Excellency. So can you just react to that? I wouldn't say more than that for now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I'll just say the same thing I've always said to Pastor. If people like you and those that come into the party, when we say they are godfathers, these people are not anywhere the number of people that are staying out and refuse to participate. What we need inside the parties to change the parties is critical mass of people thinking in the right direction. If pastor today decides to open, if on Sunday, pastors, people, bad people, goes into the church, take over the management of the church and everything, it will become the same thing. So what you need is to see that the pastors are good people. The same thing with leadership of the country. What we do is that we mind our business. Everybody says, oh, I'm not a politician. Oh, I'm a banker. Or I'm a lawyer. Or I'm a doctor. But all of us cumulatively have the business that we're all supposed to own together. So some people who should not be part of the business to run. If there's one company that all of us own, it's Nigeria. But what we have done is that we have abandoned that company to be run by the least in us. While all of us are running a smaller company here and there. So this the least in us takes over our business and run it down, and it affects all of us. So we need a critical mass in the parties. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
All right. Thank you very much, Excellency. Can I please ask Auntie Ronke Fetuga? I think she wants to ask a question very quickly. Obina Ayim, I will come back to you. Okay.
Good evening, Your Excellency. Good evening, Pastor Ichua. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Your Excellency, I'm glad to tell you that you walk your talk. I met with you only once in Enugu. You will not remember the circumstances, but I was quite impressed. Okay, let's leave that aside. The question I want to ask, you left 75 billion when you stopped being governor. What happened to the governor after you? Why is there no continuity in governance in Nigeria? That's all I want to ask.
Well, it's a very simple question. The people.
The people in what way?
Okay, I'll give you an example, what I tell people. Whenever they ask me this, the people are the, if today, let me use the example of what is happening in America. Everybody said, this is un-American. Everybody says, oh, we can't go on this way. In everywhere, I'll give you an example. You're not from Anambra State, but let me give you an example. If you go to Anambra State, in the first 4 years of my government being in office, I bought buses for all the secondary schools. As you know, we were focused on education. That was why we were able to go from being number 26, 27 in WAEC and NECO. By the time I came into office in 2007, and by 2011, we're number one, 2012, we're number one, 2013, we're number one. We bought buses for every secondary school in my first term, and we said we'll replace it after 4 years. So in my second term, we bought another one. So if you go to a schools like, let me use Onitsha, that is more, listen, you go to a school we call DMDS in Onitsha. Dennis Mora Grammar School, they have 2 buses. At the King College, 2 buses. You know, I just want to use this to illustrate to you. Now, when we gave them that buses, we signed that every 4 years we buy a new one. I'm now out of office, 7 years, nobody have bought the entire, and they're still there. So the complacence, I said, Nigerians are insanely complacent. My sister Ronke, if you go to a local government today, every local government in Nigeria receives at least 100 million naira a month. Every local government. But I'm sure You have never asked what is happening to the 100 million naira coming to your local government. Every state, every year, budgets makes a budget of 100 billion naira. You see it, budget of today, this year will be labeled budgets of economic emancipation. Next year, they are budgeting another 100 billion, which they call budget of going to heaven. Nobody has asked questions, said the emancipation of last year, what did we achieve? It's something now we're doing borrowing. There's nothing wrong in borrowing money. But we have moved to a place where we were in 2014, our debts were about, in terms of dollars, about $30 billion. Today, almost $100 billion. Nobody is asking, how did we get here? How did we accumulate this debt? What is this debt used for? These are the critical things I'm saying, that is the people. Unless the people ask questions, unless the people insist and say to my successor, to tell you how it is. Okay, when I handed over, I didn't hand over privately. I invited all the traditional rulers, all the church leaders in Anambra State, all the president generals of community, invited the Minister of Finance, invited people like Dangote and every person. The whole place was full. I invited the 3 bank MDs where we kept this money. So I will get up and say, Access Bank, the MD then was Mr. Imokwede. I said, Mr. Imokwede, I have in your bank $50 million, 12 billion naira. Is it there? He will say, yes. I handed it over to the incoming governor. I called the man in Diamond Bank, Alexoti then. Alexoti, in Access, in Diamond Bank, and $50 million, 12 billion naira. He said, yes. I gave it to the governor. I called the MD of Fidelity Bank. I said, I have 12 billion naira, I have $56 million. He said, yes. So I told the people, I said, you can see here, I have $156 million in savings, and I have 12 billion, that's 6 billion naira. I'm handing over to the new governor. I'm not owing any pension, no gratuity, no contractor who says, so, and this is in here. I don't have any pension, I don't have anything, I'm going home. So it is the people now who ask, where is this and where is this? Instead, they want me to, I won't be part of interrogating where the money is. Because I didn't, it wasn't a private thing. I didn't hand over to my successor privately. I did it publicly. So there was no way you say it was a discussion between me and him. It is an open thing. So what are the traditional rulers doing? What are the people doing? What are the church leaders doing? They have to ask questions. But I can tell you, it's a country that has been criminalized. Okay, if I steal money today, I'm giving the best place in the church. In fact, if they have a title in the church, I'll get it before everybody. I'm giving the best title in villages. You know, but the more you steal, the more you're celebrated.
Isn't that an irony, Governor? But I'm going to take you up on something. I don't know if this is true or not, but they said that your successor was a man that you yourself seem to have shown some kind of interest or preference in. Let me use those words. And then shortly after, you all seem to have fallen out and there's tension here everywhere. I don't know if this is a question you want to take up.
Well, Pastor, even if somebody, you know me very well, and you know I've lived with my wife Margaret for 30 years. So even if when I met her, she was such a lovely, nice woman, and she comes in and I found out that it's not somebody I can live with. Well, I have to pray to God and ask her to go.
You can't ask Margaret. Yeah, I won't be part of that one. You can't ask Margaret.
You might not be part of it, but I'm telling you. So for people, yes, I'm not saying I didn't start with, yes, it is a situation where we have chosen to live together as husband and wife. But it is not, it's not that we're not going to kill each other. So if our brother, when people found out that things were not going the way it is, I would say I wasn't part of his coming to office. People, as Anambra people, everybody voted on one thing that is going to continue from where I stopped. So when the continuity is not there, you said no. I was just even the present national government. They promised a lot of things. Where is those things they promised us? And that's what I'm saying. Let governors, let nobody come and say, oh, we are doing this, we promise this, we promise it. Where are those promises? Let us start interrogating that when Itua was coming here, he promised us this. We're not saying you will achieve everything. We don't want 100% result. We want 100% effort.
No, we want 100% results, Excellency. Because anybody can say that the effort is 100%. Meanwhile, it's only 10%.
No. If we will see it, if it's happening, Pastor will see it. You will feel it.
It's okay. Obinna, please ask your question. Unmute yourself and speak loudly. Short question, please. We're running out of time.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, you talked about state policing as a solution to the insecurity in Nigeria. And we all know that security demands adequate financing. Yet we have had some governors say they can't pay the minimum wage that we are asked to pay. So how would the governors now finance the state policing? Or will you say that the governors that say they can't pay the minimum wage are not telling the truth?
Obinna, I was paying I said in Anambra State, as governor, I have every community in Anambra State. If you're from Anambra State, you can go and verify it. Obinna, I was paying every community. They had a security system and I was paying them. Where was I paying them? It's not my personal money, it's the government money. All you need is we need to be more creative in managing the public resources. Like I said before, I've been part of this. The cost of running my office then was what I found unacceptable. That was the money I put into running education, the money I put in health sector, the money I put in security and everything. There's so many things we need to shut down. There's so many things. I shut down a lot of things. We shut down something like Governor's Lodge in Abuja. The governor of Anambra State, I'm going to own a lodge in Abuja. He's not governor of Abuja. He doesn't have to have a lodge in Abuja. All we need is a place to collect letter. We don't need the office of First Lady, because that is not an office. All these things, there's so many things you need to shut down. And you have the resources to do other things. You just need to be creative, do the right thing, manage public resources efficiently, and be creative in generating more income. That's what we did. It's not a rocket science.
Thank you very much. Emmanuel Akaligwo, you've been trying to ask a question. Can you unmute yourself and let's hear you?
Yes, I have unmuted myself. Good evening, everyone. Please, my question goes to His Excellency, Peter Obi. Please, sir, I don't know. I believe you are very much aware of what is going on now in this country, especially in the area of education and the health sector. My concern really is concerning all this ASU strike that is going on here and there. I would like to get your reaction on how you are going to handle this kind of issue, because I know that, fine, everybody coming into governance must have a good intention for the country. But the truth is that when you get into office, it's a different ballgame altogether. you start seeing so many things that you never thought of, so many things you never imagined that will happen. You see it happening. So this issue of ASU strike per se, what is your reaction? How are you going to handle it? Because we are tired of keeping students at home.
Emmanuel, I disagree with you. There's nothing like if you're coming into office, when you get in there, you see a different thing. No, I disagree with that. This is the only country where people promise they're going to do this, they're going to do this. You know, like people will tell me, oh, what we met when we came in. What were you going to expect? You're going to expect something, everything to be smooth, or to have the luxuries of life and everything. As a time you're making promises, you know you're going there to meet a difficult time, and that is what you're going to take decision on. Emmanuel, I met a very difficult time. If you know Anambra State is probably the most difficult state to govern in Anambra State, in Nigeria. It's a state where you have very difficult people and who are successful on their own to manage. I said it before, we had a situation where schools were shut down. So if you are determined, Emmanuel, the most critical investment any nation can do is education and health. In fact, these two items, if you look at Human Development Index, which is the most critical measure of development, it is hinged on these two items. First is life expectancy, which today the global average is 75 years and Nigeria is 51. So you have 24 years below the global average. Number two is education, and we are low in both of them. The consequence that Nigeria today, HDI, is among the lowest. So we are not improving. So if anybody coming into government, if I'm part of any government, that is the most critical area to tackle. And you can tackle it head on. All you need is resource allocation. Education, what is difficult in managing ASU strike and everything, all you need to do is to be transparent in your negotiation and live up to what you negotiated. I had issue with NUT, go and ask people in Anambra State, NUT was on strike with me for 3 months. When we resolved it, everything, when I returned school to the churches, when I said, no, we can't run school. We need people who can manage it better. Because I found out that, Emmanuel, we were investing money and the money wasn't getting to where it was going. We have a situation where we have UBEC at the center. UBEC brings money to UBEC state, and it goes to UBEC local government and never gets to the school. So I said, no, this money must go direct from Abuja to school. There's not all these transit points shouldn't be there. I quarreled with the NUT people. They went on strike. When we resolved it and came back to school, go today. There's no state you used to compare Anambra State on the average in what is in education. We're the first to send computers in every level. We're the first to put internet in schools and everything. You need to resist it. We didn't have health institutions that were working. We partner with the church. It is going to be difficult. People are going to fight you head on. I was removed from office twice. So when people saw what I was doing, they were there with me, they stood with me, and we went across it. So if anybody is determined, how can you close school? At today's world, a university is shut down for this length of time. That shows we don't even know where the world is going. Everything today, the biggest oil today is education. The more educated your country is, the more developed you are. So it is that oil that you need to explore. People don't get, oil is a dying asset today, while education is an asset. When you talk about China, India, everywhere today, you're talking about education. So we need to invest in this. And people understand the implication of investing in education. We won't have ASU strike. We won't have all this. But we didn't apply where we are. As I said, we need to have leaders who have competence and capacity, who can understand where we're going. It is not about going to Abuja to collect money and probably do one or two things and then put your name in the newspaper and bribe people and get us of our word. It is about knowing that this is how to build a country.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Mr. Femi Idowu-Adegoke, are you able to talk to us now, or do we, let me give you
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me now, sir?
We can hear you. Please go ahead very quickly. We are running out of time.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Good evening, everyone. Your Excellency, sir. My question is in two phases. The first one is, I'm an advocate of electoral reform, and I want to know what's your take, because I believe Nigeria's electoral process is actually it's upside down, one. And secondly, I want to know your take on independent candidates and electronic voting.
Well, mine is very simple. The electronic voting is something that is, in today's world, should be a standard. You know, and independent candidates is the same thing. There's nothing wrong in all this. These are things that we should have included in it, but we need to have a measure of controlling it, because you are going to see people who are going to be paid to come and create additional confusion. On issue of changing our electoral system, it's very easy. It's what we have been clamoring since, because that's what I started with. Now we need to ensure that the process of people coming into office is actually well scrutinized and detailed very well. As you can see, I always say that the process through which people come into office is far more fundamental than what they do in office. So I agree with you that we need to do something on the electoral system. And electronic voting should be a standard by now.
Okay, jolly good. Any other questions as we begin to round up? Okay. Excellency, I want to thank you very much for spending this level of quality time with us. We've asked a few questions. You have answered those questions. But I have one question to ask you before I let you go. But meanwhile, let me announce to those on the platform, I want to thank all of Dr. Fowley, I see you. Okay, I see you. Sheks, I see you. Shiju Ade, I didn't know you had grown a beard. I'm surprised, but it's making you look calmer. God will bless you, Mr. Step. God bless you. Chris Okenwa, God bless you. Fakorede, it is well with you. Next week, we are going to be having a very good friend of mine, Mr. Muiz Banire, who used to be legal advisor to the APC, and is a great lawyer and SAN. Is going to be looking at the challenges ahead of 2023. We really want to see how we can wrap ourselves around the whole thing. So I want everybody to please stay tuned for next week. Same time, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock next week, Mr. Muiz Banire, okay? The challenges ahead. Mr. Governor, Mr. Governor, Mr. Former Governor, Mr. Governor, if you were president of Nigeria today, or if you are president of Nigeria 2023, what will you do to run what will help us transform our nation? What are the steps that you would take? Maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. You know, Joe Biden came in yesterday, and within about 6 hours, he had signed about 19 or so executive orders. It meant that he had been thinking about it, working with some people, and began to rewind and unwind and undo a few things that Donald had done. And this week, we expect that he's going to make a few more changes here and there. He was prepared for the office and he hit the ground running. What will you do if you became President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to turn our economy around. As I said, in 1978, I cannot forget, the Naira was stronger, much stronger than the dollar, and equivalent almost to the pound. What would you do, sir?
Well, mine would be, I'm not running for president now, but let me just tell you, simple things. First, cut the cost of governance. The cost of governance in Nigeria is unacceptable. You're not managing the resource very well. You cut the cost of governance. Insist, two, this is what we did in Anambra State, that we can only borrow, if necessary, for investment that is going to contribute to productivity. That is moving the country from being unproductive to productivity. All borrowing, no matter the circumstances, we must not borrow for consumption. So if we are going to borrow, you start shifting running the economic activities from public to private sector. The government of Nigeria does not have anything to do with most of the things they are doing today. Those who want to do it can go to capital markets and borrow money and do it. Let the private sector drive the economy. If you have an economy, if you have a country where the public sector debt is higher than the private sector debt, you have a problem. And that is what you are seeing in Nigeria today. You cannot have a situation where the debt of the country is higher than the private sector debt. It's simple. If you go to a country like China today that will say is the biggest in terms of business now, in China today, the entire debt is about 30 trillion. For public sector debt is only about 5 trillion, which means the private sector debt is about 25. These are and you can go on and on. It's same thing everywhere, even in South Africa and everything. So you need to borrow and ensure it's perfect. We need to now focus in investment in education. It's a critical area. Today, how many students we have in a tertiary institution that we are talking about e-learning, and the average student does not have a laptop? It's something that a country can look at and say, today, if we organize ourselves and look at all our tertiary institution students, let me estimate that the maximum, there will be about maybe 2-3 million. You can afford to have a situation where we can partner with a company that will actually ensure that all of them have a laptop. So there's so many things. Invest in health. There's no reason why we should be having an issue where we don't have people before things deteriorate. People used to come from other nations to come for teaching hospitals here to be cured. How come now we are doing the opposite? This is can be reversed and everything. But the most important thing, like I told you, is cut the cost of governance. It is unacceptable. And ensure that, yes, if we must borrow, we must borrow for this. Our budgets must be such that the planning, the budgeting, execution must be transparent. People must see it. When you talk about corruption, we have to know where the money is going. Also, if you go abroad today, you will see adverts of doing this road. They will advertise it and say, this road is being consulted by this person for this amount. There's no place you see in Nigeria, you just get billions and billions of this. Today we are borrowing billions to build an airport terminal. Where does that happen? We should be able to have a private sector living with government. If we had done the right things, it will be private sector driven, partnering with government, and they go and raise money in capital markets and do it and cover their money. And it will be more efficiently run than borrowing money to do all this without a proper feasibility studies on how the money will be paid back. So for me, we need to move this economy to be private sector led in order to make it more productive. People are making money in Nigeria without being productive.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We can go on and on, but I know that time is a good resource, and I promised you that by 6:30, we will be off this platform. I have overshot your time by 4 minutes, and I want to apologize.
No problem, no problem. Whatever you want, I'm here. Whatever we can do to build a better Nigeria, Pastor, I'm for it. I want people like you, other people, good people. Let's get involved and build a better place for our children. We can't bequeath our children this country the way it is today. It can be a better country. We have people who have capacity, who are competent, who have the character that you require for governance. And it's not a rocket science. We should remove it from being where people come and speak very good, eloquently, or display this other asking, what is this person's background? Where is it coming from? Where has it done all these things yet?
Thank you very much, Excellency. Are there any other things that you just would like to share with us or share with Nigerians off the top of your voices? I can take another 5 more minutes of your time and things you want to express and let people know that they can do to put Nigeria in a better shape. I can give you the floor for 3, 4, 5 minutes to do that.
Well, Pastor, I've said it before. For me, is let's get involved. All of us need to get involved. We cannot continue. We're traveling on the wrong road. Our destination will be disastrous. We need to, all of us, get involved in interrogating the situation we are in today. We need to all hold our hands together. Let us not, out of fear of our losing our business, out of fear of our dying. Also, we have to die anyway. No matter, even if you just don't do anything, you will die. You know, so we need to come out and start saying no to all this. When you look at what is happening in our country today, you feel a sense of pain. I've been to countries after countries that you cannot compare us with yesterday. How can we say that a country like Vietnam in the past 10 years have put 50 million people out of poverty, and we have put over 50 million people into poverty? It is it's unacceptable. Countries after countries are doing this, and we cannot do the same thing. So for me, everybody needs to be involved. We need to, for those of you who are on the prayer side, like I always say, I've seen also prayer points, but I always say the prayer point we need for Nigeria now is that let God touch the heart of our leaders, people like Peter Obi, so they can use public money for public good. That should be our major prayer point, because people should use our money more efficiently. There's nothing wrong with this country, except that we have thieves all over the place.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for inviting me.
Sorry, sir?
I said thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. As always, you've been extremely eloquent, very passionate and all that. And I want to assure you that I am determined also to ensure that Nigeria turns around. This platform is one of the attempts that I'm making to inform people, to educate them, to elucidate support and all that. And where necessary and if necessary, I will make myself available for the political free and political platform to drive this country in the right direction. We don't have too much time, and it would be nice if people like you and myself can see a greater Nigeria even within our generation, or at least see a Nigeria now heading in the right direction. It's almost as though a certain generation has lost their place, but we'll try very, very hard to fulfill the potential of this country. So, Excellency, I want to thank you very much for accepting to be here. Thank you for inconveniencing yourself. I can see my cousin, Dr. Faole, clapping for you. Alava, happy birthday. God bless you. I know you've been trying to reach me. I will call you. I've been extremely busy. Please forgive me. He's very passionate, always here. Okay, K is also clapping for you. I can see that. Sheikh refuses to clap, but I forgive him. It's his beard and his glasses that's causing the problem. So, Excellency, I want to thank you very, very much for being here. Emmanuel is laughing. God bless you. Go and rally the youth, Emmanuel. You look like a young fellow. Go and rally the youth. We need to rescue this country. We need the youth involved. Senyo Nebi, thank you for being on the platform. Auntie, I can't see your name, but I want to thank you for being there patiently. Shijuade Omoba, thank you very much for being there. I'm grateful. Tokumbo, thank you very much for being there. And a few other people I can't see. If I don't mention your name, Auntie Fetuga, thank you as always. Please forgive me. Excellency, I will call you and we'll have a few other conversations, and we will definitely make Nigeria great again. I don't think Nigeria is a lost cause. I think it's just an opportunity to turn things around, and we will do so by God's grace. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of this today. God bless you all. See you very, very soon. Don't forget, next Thursday, 5 o'clock, we're here to begin another set of racist series in making sure that Nigeria is steered along the right direction. Excellency, God bless you. Give my sister Margaret my love and my children, and all will be well in Jesus' name. God bless you all.
Amen.
Please, we will need notification so that I won't forget.
Okay, you get reminders maybe from Tuesday or Wednesday, as usual. My back office will do that. 5 o'clock on Thursday. Please try and invite as many people as possible so that we can have a very robust conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
God bless all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor.
Okute.
Thank you.
Okute. Thank you, Pastor.
Patrick Obi, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okute.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
Emmanuel, I saw you. God bless you. Shegu Emmanuel, God bless you.
Amen, sir. Yes, sir. I want to ask of your Instagram username, sir, for those people that don't use Zoom.
Okay, I'll tell my places on the platform next time, so that the Zoom people can join us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Because I've been trying to check it.
Get it on Zoom. Okay, I'm sorry about it. Just for this, wanted to focus more on Zoom. So, but Olu, my assistant, will put it on Instagram.
Okay, sir. Your username on Instagram, sir.
Well, what's the Pastor Itrai Godalo? Finish.
Okay.
At Pastor Itrai Godalo. At Pastor.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
At Pastor Itrai Godalo. Thank you. God bless you all. Good night.
Sir.
Happy New Year. God bless you.
Good night, sir.
Excellency, thank you very much. Bye.